I love it. I love it. It's so great. It actually looks really animated, like all up on the camera like that. It totally looks like we're watching.
It really does.
Yeah.
That CG is getting really.
Yeah,
good.
you're like we're all real, and then Richard's animated. He's just,
you guys look better camera quality than I got a raggedy computer. It just really makes me want to up my game because you all come in there and all nice and good.
not an HP.
My computer's from 2014. Mine's terrible. I bought it secondhand on Amazon.
Oh, I love it.
You look great. You look great.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh.
Clear and precise. Richard looked amazing. Your camera must be really great on your computer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I get a special.
I look like I'm in a fog here.
I like it.
I have a special effect on mine that ages me, so it's just
like that old man filter, the Russian bots, you know,
the old man filter.
Oh, so Richard, what you had asked me about earlier? So Will Friedle, he comes by in Salt Lake, and he's like, "You got any Batman Beyond?" And I was like, "Okay. Is that you, or you just really, really look like him?" And he's like, no. He's like, it's just, no, I get that all the time. No. And so I pull out the Batman Beyond. I'm like, I'm just waiting for him to like reveal the joke. And he plays it out the whole time, pretends not to be who he is. And then he walks off, and then I catch the shot of his handler's badge, and I was like, you son of a biscuit.
Yeah.
And he gets, so
Comic-Con?
Yes. So
that's where we met.
So I obviously know that it's because he gets mobbed like 10 feet later. And of course, at that point, I can already see his handler's badge. So I wait. My staff comes back. I go grab a Batman Beyond. And I like go up to, and I'm like, hey, this guy came by the booth. I mean, it wasn't you, but damn, if that guy does not look a lot like you, he was really into this Batman Beyond. In case you see him, I'm just going to leave this with you. You probably know him better than I do. And then he was like, are you serious? I was like, are you serious that you told me to my face? You told me it wasn't you. So like,
you got him back. That's Will. Will would love that.
Yeah. So yeah, we've probably been in the same room 100 times in the last 5 years.
Salt Lake City Comic-Con, Dan Farr's, right? So I did that quite a bit.
Yes.
Those puppies. I love those puppies that they always bring in.
Salt Lake is crazy. You guys know it's like the third or fourth biggest show in America.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Have you done it, Gray? Have you done it?
I think one time. Yeah.
With the Zanini, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jess's go-to convention where he his band plays.
Oh yeah.
Greg, do you have a favorite one? Do you have a favorite?
Con?
Yeah, Gray and then Greg. Yeah. Do you have a favorite one, Gray?
I like New York Comic-Con.
Yes.
I really love like seeing shows with people.
Yes, and we get paid to do it.
Yes.
We did that together last time, right?
Yeah. I remember I went with Maurice though one time, was like, do you want to see a show? And I was like, sure. Yeah. And I was like, get tickets. I'll split, just I'll pay you for my ticket. Just get something. And he was like, okay. And he's like, hey, I got tickets to Hamilton. They were like $600. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that. I wrote someone else into going with him because I was just like, I'm not paying $600 for a ticket.
And you know what? That's the night you, me, Dee, and Kristen had dinner together.
Oh yeah, we just had like a really nice dinner. I was like, I'd rather spend half that on an
half that on dinner. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there's so many good places to eat in the city.
I know.
So much. In fact, as Kristen and I are talking about getting an apartment in New York.
Really?
Yeah, we're thinking about spending when everything clears up. We're thinking about spending 3 or 4 months a year in New York.
Yes, the energy in the city.
Yeah, that's my kind of energy, and I think what I'm probably going to do is we have friends that live in New York that would trade us so they can live in our house.
Oh yes.
Like an Airbnb kind of swap.
Yeah, we know them, so they know us, so they'll give us their apartment. We'll take their apartment. We'll pay their rent, which is probably going to be more than our house mortgage. But it's just to be in New York. It's my place, man. I love it. Yeah.
All right, Greg, what's your favorite convention?
I haven't really ironically done that much. I've done the San Diego thing a couple of times, and
just small stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay, but I'm actually looking. So far, my favorite has been this one.
Oh yay!
Kiss
I mean, my
ass.
homies,
Kiss
y'all can
ass.
not like this, you know. This is cool. Good to see you guys again, and hang out. Yeah.
Oh, Brad, you've got to promote Gray's new Nancy Sinatra cover. It is.
Oh,
is that the Christmas one that was in your
It's not
email?
the Christmas one. No, it's not the Christmas one. It's going to be on my next record. When I put it out, I'll do a little
It's
hangout.
so good. It's like it feels like Bond, like the opening of a Bond movie. It's the orchestration is like.
Are you wearing the go-go boots?
It's got I am doing a video out in the desert with silver boots and a mini.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
It feels like Phil Spector could have done the production on it. Yeah.
Oh, Richard's such a music nut. I sent it to him because I had just finished the vocal. It's not even mixed yet. It won't be out until like March. But I just sent it to Richard because he's always such a good, like, he always listens. I thought Richard will listen to it and he will give like real honest notes, and it's so cool. And he totally nailed the feel of it immediately.
That's awesome.
He posted something about your first album that you put out. You posted something and I almost replied, "The most beautiful thing I ever got to be."
You have to hear this new country song I wrote called "Daddy, Can You Fix a Broken Heart?" And it's like, I'm going to send it to you, Richard, and you'll love it. It's like a story song. It's about this little kid a little girl whose daddy always fixed her toys when they broke, but now she's brokenhearted. And anyway, and it's such a Tammy Wynette treatment. You'll love it.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I was talking to Chris Brown about you the other day. Gray.
I love her.
And so I'm working.
I was making money, and Chris Brown was there.
I was thinking of you, and I thought I should maybe have you groceries on Gray's doorstep. I think I might do that. I like to do that kind of thing around the holidays.
Just to help out the less fortunate.
Just to help out.
Oh man, that's so good.
But he always leaves stuff he would never eat, like he just like it's just got canned. Lima beans.
Bites taken out of him too. So I figured if she ever needs teeth, she can just like take my teeth marks and.
He's like, "There's two days good on this. 2 more days.
2 days. Eat this one soon.
Yeah, eat it right away."
First.
Oh man. Okay, so chat, you all already get that we're gonna do some slapstick for like an hour. This is my chance to catch up. People I haven't seen in forever. I mean, it's been forever since I've seen Richard. This is the first time I've had Greg, and so we just get to catch up. Have fun, have a good time. All the questions, we answer questions in the VIP panel. To qualify for the VIP panel, simply grab a hangout from any of our guests, personalized recording from any of our guests, autograph any of the guests, and then be sure behind the wall is the staff, and then they'll verify your ticket and get you into the VIP. So welcome everybody to, I love it. I love that the guys came with props.
I know, I feel so bad. My house is full of toys.
You calling it prop?
Oh man!
Sorry, Gray, what were you saying?
I was just saying my house is full of toys, but with 3 kids anyway. That I'm always like picking up things like that and going, "God darn it, who put this here?" And like throwing it into the,
Wouldn't it be great if that's great? Gray just goes, gosh darn it, who put this here? And she just picked up one of her kids and went like this.
Who put this in my vagina?
Who put this here?
How did you get out of there? Huh?
Your dating tweets are to die for, Gray. Your public humility is just so beautiful to witness. And then you were in a hangout this earlier, and we were talking about hair bands, and you're like, I dated basically all the hair bands. And then you talked about like when you came back around, you're like, that's when you knew. You're like,
I went out with a guy for a second time, and somebody said there was a Sex in the City about this, and I was like, oh, really? Because it really happened to me. I went out with a guy, and like 5 minutes into our date, I was like, we've done this before. We've already done this. And he was like, yeah, I was thinking you seem familiar, but okay. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Russ something. He was in a band called Booty Quake, which was like a disco cover band. He was in a hair band, but then he was also in a disco cover band called Booty Quake.
Booty Quake?
Booty Quake.
They actually made a quite a good little living, like playing big clubs and like they got the people in, they got the butts in the seats. Or
Is that your thing?
Until their booty fell.
the booties in the seats. Yeah.
Is that your thing, Greg? Were you a fan of Booty Quake?
I'm
Oh,
the name. I love the name.
yeah. Greg's like, I'm down. If that's part of their show, I'm in. I'm totally.
I feel bad. I keep answering when you mean Greg because to me, I'm like, Greg.
Same here.
Okay, so
Eagles, man. Just delineate. Yeah,
Eagles. Okay, Eagles.
Mr. Eagles.
Okay,
No,
Mr. Eagles. Oh man. Okay, Mr. Eagles. How did you get started? Like, what was your first project? What did you do? Like, how did you get into the industry? Tell me your origin story.
Oh, with me, I started off doing radio comedy. I was a writer and I performed comedy bits for a guy named Tom Joyner.
Okay.
And from there, I started doing stand-up comedy, as me and Richard were talking about earlier. I got in at the Comedy Store as a regular, and I would do a lot of impressions and things of that nature, celebrity things and that kind of stuff. I wanted to be the Black Jim Carrey. That was my goal. But my voiceover career officially started when I signed with a commercial agency.
Yeah.
And they were just getting the voiceover division off the ground. This was like back in the mid-90s. And the first thing I ever booked with them, I never booked an on-camera commercial before in my life, but the first thing I ever booked was the first voiceover audition they sent me out for. And I never forget, it was for a sporting goods chain on the East Coast called Modell's. You familiar with Modell's?
Yep.
You from the
East Side, yeah.
Did a radio spot for Modell's, and then I was off with the races. I booked a series for DreamWorks, an animated series that the first animated primetime dramatic series called Invasion America, and I got to work with people like Mark Hamill and Jim Cummings and all these amazing people. And I did a series that never got picked up. We were going to do a version of the Blues Brothers as an animated series.
Oh yeah.
We recorded 11 episodes, and then they somehow pulled the plug on it. I don't know what happened to this day. It never happened, but I got to work with Jim Belushi and Tom Hall and Pam Adlon, who I love. You know, she's an amazing actress, as well as, she's doing pretty good these days. She got her own TV show. She's the voice of Bobby Hill on King of the Hill. Mm-hmm. And then I got Grimm. And I was so lucky to have those three opportunities, three major, series kind of back to back to back. And Grimm was by far the most successful. So
that is awesome. Fantastic. Richard, was summer school one of the first things you did? Were there things you did before summer school?
Yeah, I started as a child actor, so I had done like all the network shows, sitcom shows growing up. And
were you on Growing Pains?
I was on Growing Pains, but I was on Different Strokes.
What?
You were with Danny Cohen.
Yeah, and Todd was a good friend of mine, and Gary was not a great friend, but a nice guy. I did You Can't Take It With You, Head of the Class. All these sitcoms. Then in like 1984, I started doing a television. Well, I started in musical theater, and that's still my passion, musical theater. Because I was an equity member in a production by the time I was 12. So I was a singer and a dancer, and I always thought that's what I was going to pursue. That I thought I would go to New York and do Broadway, and that's what I always wanted to do. And Gray and Greg will tell you that half the time we couldn't get through a session without me starting to sing, and they'd be like,
"He is a singer. He is a musician."
Somewhere. Greg would be like, "I have to be somewhere. Can you stop singing?"
Do you play an instrument? Do you play an instrument?
I do.
Yeah, because like you're like such a musician.
In fact, if I had my druthers, I would have been a rock star.
Yeah.
But I definitely could see you like, doing Broadway, man, because you just got that all in you, man. You definitely
got to work up an act to do at cons, Richard.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And Greg, if you want in, we could do the Grimm trio.
That's right. You could be like the Kingston trio, only it's like, so hoist up the John B. Stew. Hello, the main sales. I want to get the Easter to let me go home.
Let me go home.
Now, let me go home.
Let me
go home.
Why don't you let me go home?
Let me go home.
This is the worst trip I've ever been on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man. So
So,
what? How did you not go the music route? It's
well,
clearly
the problem is that I'm a Van Nuys. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California.
Sure.
Van Nuys. And so when you have an agent that's booking you on TV and film, they don't want you to go to New York because they can't make money off you there. So I was doing TV, and then I didn't even know anything about voiceover. This is how naive I am about voiceover. I really didn't. So I started doing I went to college. I went to UCLA for a quarter, and then I was majoring in theater arts, and I was offered a part in a series called Safe at Home that ran for what I thought was going to be one pickup, 13 episode thing and done. And it ended up going 105 episodes.
Wow.
So I withdrew from theater arts at UCLA, went to do the series, assuming that I would get back at some point. But then there, I started doing a bunch of teen films. So I did Summer School. I did How I Got Into College. I did Thrashin' with Josh Brolin and a bunch of these teen films. And then when the Writers Guild strike hit in '88, here I was with bills and mortgage payments and things thinking, oh, crap, how am I going to support myself? And at the time, my commercial agent, Susan APCPC, shared an office with Grey's agent, Sandy Schnarr. And so I literally walked across the hall and said to Sandy, hey, I want to do voiceover. And she said, hey, you got to get a demo reel. And back then, it was reel to reel. It was reel to reel.
Yep.
And hanging on the wall of Voicecaster. And
it's like a museum.
And I gave her the demo, and she goes, and Grey will know this someday. She goes, well, cutie, if you want to do voiceover, you got to do lessons. And I'm like, I'm going to take lessons. Don't you know who I think I am? That first month, this is how naive I was. Greg and Grey, you will relate to this, and Brad, you will also relate to this. I booked 3 radio spots my first month there. It was the first jobs, and this is how naive I was. One, I was upset because I had one line. It was "Bye, Dad," and I said to Sandy, "I go, I only have one line. Do you know who I am?"
Oh my God!
She says, "Cutie, you make the same amount of money as the person who has all the announcer dialogue." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm good."
Yes. And don't you just wish for those parts now? I swear, I'm like, oh, all these lines.
And the amount you made back then was $175 per spot per cycle for 13 weeks. And this is how naive I was. The very first one, I went, wow, that was really easy. If I do 5 of these a day, 5 days a week, I'm sitting on $5,000 a week. Good, this can support me. I didn't realize that it was as hard to book voiceover as it was on camera. I thought, oh, that's easy, right? That's the last time I worked that year in voiceover.
Oh, shoot.
And so then it took me about 5 years to break into animation.
Yep.
And that's how I got into it. Once I got into animation, that's where I found my home. And I've been there for 30 years now, which is nice. I mean, Grey wasn't even born when I started, so it's weird that she was at the same agency as I was.
He used to babysit me and bring my stroller to the booth.
And it's great because I raised her from a petri dish, which was really weird. I'm like, oh, this is starting to talk. And I didn't know that to work.
Now I know where the inspiration for Invader's Inn comes from. Oh man. Okay, Grey, tell us how did you get in front of that beautiful microphone and start yelling at people?
Same thing as Greg, doing stand-up at the Comedy Store, and the lady who ran it was Pauly Shore's mother.
Yo.
Yeah, she told me,
give up the line.
She was like, you need to write jokes. You're funny, but and you do great impressions, but you have no act. You can't just do impressions. You have to have like an act. You need to write some jokes. So I was like, okay. She's like, but hey, in the meantime, you should do some voiceover. You'd probably do really well. So I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? So I went and took a class at the Learning Annex. Like, there's this newspaper called, and you could take these classes. And Linda McCarroll, who was over at Abrams, Ruvaloff and Lawrence was she's not there anymore. I don't think. I don't know. Is she? Maybe she is. Anyway, but she everybody got like 1 minute on the mic or something. It was a cattle call. There were so many people there, but she was like, we're going to pick, whoever wants to come to the mic, you can have 1 minute to do anything you want. So I walked up there and I did like impressions and, it was over like in a blink of an eye, but she came up and stopped me and she's like, hey, I do these a lot. And I don't see a lot of talented people, but you really have some talent. And if you want some help, you should go to this class at Voice Tracks West, and then I met Cindy Akers at Voice Tracks West. And then Cindy Akers was best friends with my agent, Sandy Schnarr. And she was like, I'm going to call my friend. She's my best friend. She's got a great agency. And I just think you really could do something with this. So same thing. Hi, honey. I signed with Sandy Schnarr. The same person that Richard signed with. So,
hey, cutie.
Hey, cutie. She still says that to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've been there.
Great.
I actually was with Don Pitts for a while. Don Pitts just for like.
Pitts. Oh my God, Don.
And he did not know who I was. He was getting ready to retire. He never sent me on auditions. Like I would get so excited about. Now I get excited about when I get a job. Back then I'd be like, oh, I have an audition. Oh my God! And it was like the one audition I would get in like every 3 months. Now I get auditions every day. Back then. And so one day he came up to me in the lobby and he was like, hey, what are you here for? Like, are you interested in doing voiceover? And I'm like, I'm with you. You're my agent. I know he's not going to be pitching me around town. And then I was right, because when I signed with Sandy, they finally called me for my once every 3 months audition. And I was like, I'm not with you anymore. I was like, I'm not even there anymore, and I haven't been for like 6 months. And they were like, "Oh, sorry, we'll take you off our rent." And I'm like, "Oh my God,
that's so funny." Okay, Greg, do you have a comedy? Mr. Eagles, do you have a comedy background as well?
Yeah. I did stand up for like well over a decade. And,
okay.
It was great performing live on stage, but. When I started making a lot of money not a lot of money, but when I started making some money as a voiceover actor, that kind of abated because, in order to really make money doing a stand-up, you got to go on the road.
Yes.
You're not going to make money being in town. You can play clubs in town, but you're not going to get paid much. When I was working at the Comedy Store, I think she was paying $25 for the original room. You get a portion of the door if you work the big room on the weekends.
Okay.
But when you got there, they were finally paying the comics.
Yeah, I was not a part of that strike thing. It was way over before my time. Thank God for them. I applaud all those comics that were brave enough to stand up to her. And I will say this about Mitzi Shore. I've dealt with her on on numerous occasions, but she's an eccentric. She was an eccentric lady, but she really did have an eye for talent, and that freaked me out. That she suggested that you do voiceover, Grey? She was
like, while you're working on your act, you should do some voiceover because you really do really good voices.
That's awesome.
Like,
oh, that's amazing because because she liked the fact that I was an impressionist as well, and she loved me. And I played Vegas for the first time at the Comedy Store, which was a trip.
Oh,
driving into town and seeing your name on billboards. That was so heady. So it was an interesting experience, but.
I felt the same way the first time I walked into a bathroom and someone had written my name on it. So.
I can imagine, man. That's got to be like the highlight of your life.
That was a highlight.
I need to
and the picture was very flattering.
I never got paid to do stand up at the Comedy Store. It was always like, like some kind of like rigmarole type thing where it was just like
it took me a while to get paid because I was hanging out there for a few years before I became what they call a paid regular.
I definitely wasn't at that stage.
But are you getting paid now, right?
I get paid now, but at the time I wasn't.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's an evolution. It's a process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was doing it, there was only like there were two major clubs. There was Improv and there was the Comedy Store. And then now you have the Laugh Factory. But
And
back in those days,
I worked both the Laugh Factory and the Improv. I was in an improv group called Natural Gas, and
That sounds amazing.
and it was a great. I'm a sketch improv guy.
Yes.
I've done some.
well, you worked with Fred Willard for a long
Fred
time.
Willard, Fred and I, when Fred, God rest his soul,
Yes.
he and I worked all over the country.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was.
I remember him coming in to do some Grims with us. He was always
That's because we were just talking about that with Maxwell, because Maxwell knew that that he was a friend of mine, and he said I think it would be great to bring him in as the boogeyman. But the reason I mentioned it is because Bud Friedman is like, this is the difference between Mitzi, what Mitzi said to Cray and what Bud Friedman said to me. At the time, I was being represented, and I'm still very close to George Shapiro of Shapiro West, who produced Summer School and is Jerry Seinfeld's manager. And George has been generous to this day. He is the most generous person to me I've ever known. He represented everyone. Andy Kaufman, you name the comedian. It was, in fact, in the Andy Kaufman Man on the Moon, Danny DeVito played George Shapiro in that movie. And so I was with George, and we had gone to the Improv for the night to go see some of his comics. And he says to Bud, this is Richard Horvitz. He is going to be our next leading man. And Bud says, great. What are you going to do about his voice?
Oh,
Shoot. Oh, shoot.
Did you have his little monocle on when he said that?
And I got to be honest, it was pretty devastating, because I used to look at because I was an on-camera actor, and I always thought that was what I was going to always be doing. But it kept coming back down to this. He doesn't look like he sounds, or he doesn't sound like he looks, over and over again. So I started taking, voiceover lessons to learn to talk like Billy's dad. And so, I lower my voice like this. And Robert Easton, who was a big voiceover guy.
Oh, yes. I remember him.
Charged me $300 and had me make tea. And, and my mom, God rest her soul, said to me, she goes, your voice is your asset, but you're looking at it like it's it's a problem.
Liability. You're looking at it like a liability when it's an asset.
Exactly. And that's how I discovered voiceover. And suddenly it became a godsend as opposed to a
curse. Right.
It went a long way to make me feel confident about myself, because I started to lose my confidence in the voice in the on-camera world. But I'm not in stage. I still do theater to this day.
I love it.
I still do it.
I really love Summer School. I absolutely watch. I feel like it was on every year during the summer, as it should be.
Well, I would tell you something. If you're a fan of Summer School, one of my best friends in the world is Dean Cameron, who played Chainsaw, and he and I do a daily thing called Some Kind of Joke. Have you seen it at all?
No.
Every day, Gray knows about it. We have a mutual friend who was on one of our episodes.
Yes.
Gray's going to do one. I should get Greg and Gray to do one.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah.
Thank you. So we just do classic jokes in a narrative. And we play brothers. So Dean, who is Chainsaw, plays Brother Michael, and I'm Fredo. Yes, it's on purpose. And we just tell jokes, and you never know what the joke is going to be. You may have heard the joke, but how we set it up is
okay.
So
and
it's called Some Kind of Joke.
Okay.
And you can follow us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Some Kind of Joke, all one word. On Instagram, it's Some Kinda Joke, because Some Kind of Joke was taken. But on Instagram, it's Some Kinda, Kinda Joke. But you can just follow us on YouTube. On the YouTube, as my father would have said.
on the YouTube. It's like the freeways in California. If any of you have lived outside of California, you hear you'll take the 405 to the 10 to the 210 to the I'm
going to tell you something about California and someone who gets around this city like nobody else, and that is Greg. Greg is like, where's Waldo? No matter. Oh, there it is. Thank you. There we are. Thank you. That up. Greg is everywhere. Like, he'll post on Greg. I follow him on his Facebook page and his tweet. All of a sudden, he's with David Letterman. Next, he's somewhere with Jim Carrey. Next, he's somewhere with somebody everywhere.
Me?
Because you. Yes, you. You're always somewhere, and you know that to be true, right, Gray?
It's true.
Yes.
Well, I have to get around because that's what I do.
He's keeping his way to the middle.
Yeah, thank you. That's pretty much where it is.
On his way to the middle.
Great. Mr. Eagles, how old were you when you found Wu-Tang?
Oh man, I'm old now, so I have to be like about 55 then, I guess.
You are not that old.
No,
I discovered Wu-Tang and back in the day when they first popped off, and they were great, man. I mean, I love that whole Eastern
East Coast
with hip hop.
Yeah,
that was so unique, That
So-
you had that Eastern thing with the urban thing, and that was very innovative. And that's
because I was listening in high school, and so if I'm, oh man, what would that make me? 16, 17, 18 back in like what 1996?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. How old were you in 96?
16, 17, 18.
Oh, so we're the same age then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. She's so stupid. It's interesting to me that like they reached so many people. Like I remember like they all at one point they all went their separate ways, and then they start like Method Man. I watched every Method Man movie, and then that was like my goal in life to like I'd be like, yo, you check that new Method Man movie? And they're like, did you say that right? Like music or movie? No, the movie, man. Did you check the movie?
You know what? He's turned into a really good actor, man.
It's
Very
great.
good actor. He just did an arc on this show called Power on Stars. I don't know if you ever saw that show. That was the one that Fitty
Yep.
produced.
Yep.
Yeah. He did an amazing job as a lawyer.
Oh, I think he's great. And that was I grew up in North Carolina. And I played football, and I was famously told only two type of people play football. It's rednecks and black people. And I was like, well, I'm not a redneck, so I guess.
And never the two shall meet, huh?
Well, it was an interesting culture, and I will never forget. Because I didn't identify as a redneck, I hang out with all of my black friends. Because I was told
that forgot you in the hip hop, just being around in that culture.
In the culture, and I went to college at Western Carolina University and did football, and I was determined to prove that I was just as much a brother as everybody else. And so I remember Jay-Z came on, and I was like, this is my chance, this is my shot. I'm gonna rap every word, and they're all gonna know that I'm part of the fam. And so I was like, and you see where this is going. So all of a sudden, I went there as the white kid in 1998, and I swear to you, it was like the movies when the music stops and you can hear the pin drop, and then they go, I'm gonna tell you this right now, Mad Brad. The only reason you ain't dead right now is because we family. But you like adopted family, you're like the in-law family, and if you ever say that word again, I'm gonna kill you. And you're gonna be dead family. So,
but now you still can get invited to the picnic though, right? Because you lived and learned, right?
We absolutely, dude. I would roll into the cafeteria with the biggest, because I was like the scout team running back for the D line. So I walked in with these 6 big giant black dudes to the cafeteria. Like nobody touched me, nobody got near me. It was like Entourage. So. Yeah, I came up in that culture, and like Will Smith. I've been rapping Young MC since I was like 12 in middle school.
Well, you're talking to the guy right here who can rap Rapper's Delight.
Yo!
Right here that can do Rapper's Delight from beginning to end. He did that once in the studio, and it freaked me out.
You talking about Richard?
Yeah, Mr. Horvitz.
What?
You know the origins, baby.
I tried to say the boogie to the rhythm of the beat. Say, I am the Wonder Man, and I like to say hello.
Hello?
The black to the red to the right to the green to the purple and yellow.
Hello.
Have you ever been over to a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? I mean, the macaroni soggy and the peas are mush and the chicken tastes like wood.
Oh!
Say it out like you can by saying that you are full. But your friend says, Mama, you just being polite. He ain't finished. Oh, that's bull.
Oh my gosh, that is so.
Robert to the rhythm of the boogie degree.
Next on the mic is my friend Mike. Say, Mike. Say hello.
Hello. Oh man, Richard, how did you find your way to that song? What spoke to you?
I love rap music. I Rapper's Delight.
So good.
That's like the best.
That was
beat
the origins,
track I had ever heard. That was the original beat track.
Sugar Hill Gang, baby.
Sugar Hill Gang. You think about it? Another One Bites the Dust has the same bum.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But you know where that originated though is from a group called Chic.
Yes.
With Good Times.
With Chic, right?
With
Yes.
Chic, with a guy named Nile Rodgers.
I love Nile. I love Niles Rodgers. Yeah.
I met him several times. The nicest guy, one of the best musicians out there, and he's still out there doing it.
Says Chic.
Yeah.
I love that. But Greg's the one that I would always get, like, because if Greg was in a bad mood, I could always make him laugh because I would always do. My milkshake brings other boys to the yard. They're like, it's better than yours, damn right. Tastes better than yours. I can teach you.
But see, that it doesn't. He doesn't do it justice sitting down. You got to see.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh man! All right, Miss Griffin, what is your? You are so musical. Where did your inspiration came from? Like, what moved you as a child? Like, how did you find that music? Was it introduced by friends or parents?
My grandmother sang with Tito Puente, the Latin jazz guy.
Yo,
and, yeah. Evita Flores. Yeah. And so she used to sing. I used to play all her old acetate records, the 78s and stuff. And I kind of grew up listening to those. And she taught me all kinds of boleros in Spanish. And and so I can sing in Spanish. And but yeah, my mom was in bands. My dad was really into like Hank Williams and the Carter family. I learned how to play the auto harp and stuff. And then my mom was into like Linda Ronstadt and all that sort of like Eagles, that kind of California country. So I always have a little twang in everything I do. And I've done some songs in Spanish too. But I just did this Christmas record.
Okay, yeah. Tell me.
It's getting all kind. It's so weird. I hired this little radio guy because I finally like put it out where you could actually buy it. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten like added to like 10 playlists yesterday with like big famous, like there's like 20 people on the list, like best Christmas songs of 2020. Frank Sinatra and Taylor Swift and Kelly Clarkson.
Yo!
I know my guy wrote me like, "Are you sitting down? This song just got added to like all," and I was like, "Wow!" And he's like, he even said like, "I this is like weird for me." He's like, "I haven't pushed it that hard," but anyway, yeah. So anyway, he's like, "We got to get your Spotify page like looking better. We got to get a bio up. We got to get a picture because I had nothing up because I was." Just
really?
Yeah. So anyway, but it's nothing.
Okay. So.
And I'm number 3 in the UK right now on their holiday music chart.
Man. Yeah,
you had me at no point in there. I saw him at the House of Blues. He was absolutely amazing. That was not long before he died, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, my grandmother
saw, man.
Oh yeah, she loved him. He wanted her to be part of his touring band, but her parents would not let her leave. So she would only do gigs when he came to her town. So her parents really held her back. She could have been. Like she used to sing on the radio all the time and she was like a little local celebrity, but her parents were just kept her under a thumb. Mexican families, they just like keep you live with them until you get married like back then,
Yeah. So. Now when did you start writing your own stuff?
When I was like 8.
Really?
Yeah. The first song I ever wrote was called Buckle Shoes. And it was like a takeoff on Tom T. Hall. Or maybe Ernest Tubb who did,
I got Google. What do you need?
It was Ernest Tubb. It was like Sailor Forest, Sailor Rent.
No, Roger Miller.
Yeah, you're right, Roger Miller. Yeah, rooms rent 50 cents. Yeah, King of the Road. Yeah.
Rooms to let 50 cents. No room, no phone, no pool, no pets.
Got no cigarette.
No cigarette.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but mine was called. I didn't know that I was totally copying that song. It had just been like in the ether, so it had seeped into my brain. My dad played it, but I was like, just got my buckle shoes. I don't need your pushing blues.
But you were only a little kid, so it was like
You're
what?
like 8.
2003, right? 2004.
Yeah, you know, I was like 16 and
16, 17. Yep. Yeah, apparently all of you were 16 in 1996. So
we ageless man, so we have
no, I know that was so funny.
We don't abide by numbers here.
I love that episode with your like 900-year-old girlfriend who is half spider. Like that was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And then you get like a knife gets thrown in your head and you like read the note and you're like, yeah, it couldn't possibly be her. And then they're like a spear hits you in the back and there's another note. I'm like, no, it's really her. And then like the sword, like, okay, fine, it's her. I get it.
Is that the one that Maxwell's that his ex-wife played the voice of?
No. Oh.
She played like a voodoo princess or I don't know.
Well, Dawn Lewis played the voodoo princess.
Oh, okay.
Remember Dawn Lewis?
Oh, yeah, I remember Dawn.
Yeah. She was just in. What was she just in? She was amazing. Oh, she was in The Boys.
Oh,
Have you watched The Boys?
No.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Remember
I remember that.
She plays the one that talks about Liberty, whatever her name was, that killed her brother.
You know who it was? The Spider Queen was Kari Walgren.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
yes, that's
She must have just been starting out then back then.
Yeah, and Kari will be on December. She'll be.
I saw her ad for that. That's so great. She's so talented and so sweet. I love her.
You know what's funny?
In Vernicula, we did a thing called Vernicula. She was one of the stars of that, and that's myself about a year or so ago. She's a sweetheart. I love her.
Yeah, she's great.
I was in Vernicula. I was Lagosi.
Yes, I was the lady who ran the pawn shop on the Vernicula. Well, they must have been Grimm fans. They must have been Grimm and Evil fans.
Yes.
Okay.
Named Rusty Bones. Great name.
Miss Griffin, how many people love you for Star Wars?
I don't know, but it's so funny because
you do Asajj, don't you?
I do tons of. I do all kinds of. I do Maz Kanata.
Yes.
And I do like the Bounty Hunter and Shakti and Leia and.
Are you really Shakti in one of the?
Yeah, in the Gendy Tartakovsky. Yeah, and I was Princess, and I was Padme, and I was but I just did a little. I put up something about the new Star Wars Lego Christmas special or holiday special.
Cool.
And I put that up on my Facebook or whatever, and some friend from high school is like, "Wow, it must be cool to be part of the Star Wars universe. Like, that's really cool. You can add that." And I was like, "Well, I didn't want to be like, oh, I've been in a long time." You're just a jerk if you're just like, "Oh, this is not the first thing," But I wanted to really badly.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I have to resist is people will comment on the graphic, and like they have to understand I'm working with like this much room by this much room, and I go and I have to choose what you're behind the voice actors like 1800. I'm like, hey guys, like I have to choose and pick. And like for Richard, they're like, but you didn't do this and you didn't, and I'm like, I get it. But when you've been working for a minute, I have to be choosy, or you wouldn't see your faces. So.
Yeah.
And everybody likes the deep cuts too. They're always like, what about, they want to show off their knowledge.
Those are the hard ones. Deep cuts are hard because I don't remember any lines or anything from the older ones. And I always feel horrible. Like, I'll say like, no, you tell me. What did I say?
Yeah.
No. Mimic them.
I've told people that I wasn't something before because I just have no memory. I don't.
Yes.
So long ago. Yeah. Somebody was like, you're Jean from Bayonetta. And I was like, mm-mm. They like handed me their thing, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, did you do
They know.
And they walked away, like totally, like they were just so confused. And they came back. They're like, hi, I just Googled it, and yeah. And,
you are.
And I was like, oh, you did? Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to ruin your DVD.
And then they're like, can you write one of your lines? I'm like, tell me what it is, and I'll
Can
write
you say
it.
one? Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite line that I do?
Oh, it's so good. It's honesty. It's a thing. It's
It is.
you almost have to have a computer next to you at a convention, right? And then like bring up your own and Control F. Control F is and for anyone who doesn't know, Command F on a Mac or Control F on a PC,
Fine.
you can search any website for whatever you want. And so like when I'm trying to do stuff and someone's like giving me a heart, they're like, but she was wow whoopsie, and I'm like, Control F. Okay, sure, but on the list of things, it's like 25th or 30th out of so.
I have one of those too, Gray.
My little plush toy. This is my plush toy, Harlan.
What's on the PJ?
He's wearing his RBG pajamas.
Yes! Ruth Bader Ginsburg! That is sick! Dude, that's good taste, my dude. Good taste. Oh, that's
my mommy, huh?
Oh man.
The crap out of me. He came up behind me and like hugged me, and I was like, oh God, there's someone in the studio.
Is there, so as far as characters like that, personalities, people, RBG is huge. Is that top of your list, Miss DeLisle, or is there somebody else where does RBG fit in terms of like public people that you appreciate that they walk the earth? Who's your?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hard. RBG's pretty far up there.
He's huge.
And I have to say, AOC lately, like everything she tweets, everything she says, I'm like, oh my God, it's so nice to have someone tough and super smart on our team. You know, I'm gonna say our team because I mean, I don't know. I just think she's just so wonderful. And I also follow this woman named Elizabeth Cronies McLaughlin on, and she's just a really great advocate for women's rights and equality and trans rights and just racial equality and just everything. She's great. I listen to the podcast every day.
I was at the post office yesterday, and there's a set of stamps out there about women's voting, and I was like, but too bad.
That's going to pass soon, right?
They're finally going to ratify the ERA.
Okay, good. No, women's voting rights.
Right, the ERA was never ratified.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, and someone behind me was like, "What?" I was like, "No, go look it up. A bunch of states in the South refused to ratify the ERA." Yeah, so like people, it was never passed.
Oh my!
I did not know that.
No, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, never passed.
Never passed.
It got very close. If you ever watched, it was a great. I laugh about it, but Mrs. America was a great miniseries.
I started to watch that and I loved it. I just never.
Was that the one with Kate Blanchett?
Yes. The thing that makes
I love her. I want to see her in anything she does. Man.
The thing that I love about it is that 3 of their lead stars in that are all from the UK. But it's about America.
I know.
Yes.
So funny.
Or Australia. You got Australia, you got the UK, you got Tracy Ullman, you got Kate Blanchett, who's Australian. But it was really good. But you realize that the thing is that we've lost so much ground. It's like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time. And when you look at it and think, like Greg, most people assume that the Equal Rights Amendment passed, and it didn't.
Nope,
it didn't. Yeah.
Okay, so
they only let black people vote in 1964, 5, I think it was. Voting Rights Act. So that wasn't really that long ago.
No, you're talking about the 60s were still Jim Crow laws. We're only 80 years removed, but not removed. It's just simply 80 years from that time, and we're still having the conversations.
Voter suppression. Voter suppression is an issue. Yeah.
Man, well, thank heavens for Black
now
Griffin.
they're in court trying to get those districts to not count.
I know.
Yeah, all I have to say is thank you to every Black woman in America for voting, because that's really now the most
and to
powerful.
the Black women in Georgia who helped flip that state blue because they've been working on that.
Stacey Abrams,
Stacey and Latasha Brown.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. A friend of mine was talking about the statues, going, well, we got to keep our, the hair. Those are our old. And I was like, those statues went up in the 60s to like intimidate people.
Yes.
They're not old. They're not that old. Yeah. It was just like,
put them in a museum then if they're old. Pull them out and put them in a room somewhere.
Let racists go paid it to.
Yeah.
And then give all the proceeds from the museum to like social projects or something.
Yep. So Mr. Eagles, is there somebody for you that's been a huge figure that you've looked to, that's been an inspiration? Who's your gal or guy that moves you?
Well, as divisive as this may sound, and anyone who knows me knows I could really care less. I like Colin Kaepernick. I think Colin Kaepernick is courageous.
Yes.
He stood up for what he believed in. He paid the price. He didn't care. And I mean, everything that he was protesting against, look at it now, it's come to fruition. I mean, And I had the privilege of meeting him, one of the many other celebrities I've met.
One of the many.
He was eating lunch with Jim Carrey and Colin, and
just walking down the street. It was the weirdest thing because I live in Central Hollywood, and it's an area that is really becoming, I guess you could say, gentrified, and a lot of popular play. Netflix is literally across the street from me. I can look out and see the building from my window. And so I saw him and an incredible director, Jordan Peele, having a meeting at his restaurant not far from me. And they were coming out, and I'm like, I fanned out. I very rarely fan out. But I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm not getting a picture with both of you.
Yeah.
So I think that he is a very courageous young man, and I would say that he is the Muhammad Ali of his generation, and that he really stood up for what he believed in.
Yep. So the thing, I chose to wear this for today. I know Grey is a very socially conscious young lady. This line we made, it's called "Chill the Violence," and this is inspired by the NWA song "F the Police." And there's a police issue Glock 9 inside of a block of ice. Because we started years ago with NWA telling people, hey, there's a problem. And then Colin attempted to peacefully tell us, hey, there's a problem. And then now
protesting right. He wasn't protesting right.
He wasn't. It was the wrong time. It was the wrong place. Turns out
making people uncomfortable.
Turns out he was just the wrong color, and that was people's real problem. So we started this, Greg, called "Chill the Violence," and I'll get it. Yeah, and it's the police issue Glock 9 in a block of ice for Ice Cube, harkening back to the days of NWA when they tried desperately to tell us what Black Americans were experiencing, and we're still having the same. So you tell me what address you want, Greg, and the "Chill the Violence" is on me, man, because I appreciate that you brought up Colin. I think he's a revolutionary. I think he's great.
Except for Ice Cube being on the side of Trump now, it kind of ruined that for me.
But he didn't. Okay, so in that whole thing, he said, look, if you think as a Black man that I'm not going to contact my sitting president to talk about where Black people need to be in America, he's like, I don't care who's in that house. It's my job as a Black man with influence to talk to my elected officials to make the world better for Black people. But people took it as pro-Trump.
I read about it where he was like, I would consider voting for Donald Trump.
If he made life right for Black people, sure, but he didn't.
He lost me. He lost me with that. I wanted to play. It was a good day on November 7th because I was all excited because we knew that Biden won. And then I was like, shoot, Trump ruined Ice Cube.
Oh, he has
I can understand where he was coming from. With he was introducing him to an economic plan that he thought would benefit the Black community. Right. He tried to get an audience with vote Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, and they kind of like gave him somewhat of a brush off. I don't know. I can't speak to that. Right. But Trump actually sat down and gave him an audience. Now, whether Trump is actually going to do anything, that is highly debatable.
For sure.
He's all talk. He never does anything.
Absolutely. Thank God that Kim Kardashian got him to pardon the lady that was in jail for life, the grandmother who was in jail for life for a minuscule drug offense.
Yep.
The thing about Trump is that he's attracted to celebrities. You know, if you're a celebrity
Yep.
cast ship, then you can get in it with them. But the average guy who's out here struggling, there's nothing to be done for that, you know.
And it's all just a ploy. Like it's always just like a token thing. You know? Like same thing with this Christianity. Like my parents bought the abortion stuff. I'm like, Mom, you know, he's paid for how many abortions has he paid for? This is all just to fool you guys, and it's working.
On CNBC when they asked him his favorite Bible verse?
I know.
They point blank. And he's like, oh, it's a good book. I don't want to choose. And he's like, just give me your top 3 or 4.
I was like, hey, this is like my 9th grade book report where I didn't read it. And I was like, the whole thing is just great. I just love the book. The whole book is great. Like I can't even choose which plot point is my favorite because there's so many great plot points in the book.
So many great plot points. All right, Richard, who's a person that's moved you, person in history, alive or that just really spoke to you, that you feel that you identify?
I'd have to say probably Grey DeLisle-Griffin. Then Greg Eagles second. Sorry. Well, my favorite all-time historic figure is Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. Those are my two. In fact, if you look back on my wall here, you'll see a bunch of Teddy Roosevelt and Lincoln stuff. So I love them. I love. I've studied a lot about the Civil War, and I studied a lot about Lincoln. And if you read any books about him, we've had a tendency to put him on this pedestal and make him a godlike figure. But when you break it down and see he was a man that held that office and realize what he was going through and what he did, I'm just beyond. I mean, and I loved him because he was very honest. He was honest about his depression. He was honest about who he was as a human being. And so that's my favorite all-time historical. But in my life, in my own living time, Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
Without a doubt. I love what Bruce stands for. I love his positions. I love
great songwriter too, man. I
love his new album. His new documentary on Apple brought tears to my eyes because he's now at a phase in his life is he hit 71 in September.
Wow. I can't believe
where he's questioning his mortality now. And he has this song in which he had this band in his career that was his first band he was ever with, and he was with them for 6 years, and he learned all his musicianship, everything about performing with this band. And the last living member besides him passed away this year, and he's the last living one of them. And so you watch this documentary and you just look at what this man has gone through. I respect him on so many levels. I've been to his concerts. I've seen over 35 Bruce Springsteen concerts. And he says, my favorite thing ever is he comes out, and no one's ever put on a better show in my life. No pyrotechnics, and he'll say that. He'll go, this concert is not brought to you by beer. It's not brought to you by tires. It's not brought to you by corporate America. It's brought to you by love. And he just gets out there and he preaches love. And his music is so, his music is like a meditation. He brings you in. It's like gospel music. I love gospel music. You
ever hear him do this song called "My Hometown" or "Your Hometown"?
Oh,
yeah, a beautiful song. I mean, everybody can relate to that, man. That is a gorgeous song, man. It just
"Come On Up for the Rising" is a perfect example of his mantra. Come on up for the rising. See you, Mary in the garden. You even see him. He has he keeps his heart picking this finger, and he holds his hand up like this. I see you. Anyway, on this new album, he's got 2 songs that he did not release in his Hammond. I almost said Murray Hammond.
Murray.
That's my ex-husband. Richard's a big fan. I know. He's like, what the heck were you thinking? Lee, everybody says that. They're like, Gray, wow, you really screwed up. It's good to hear that. I like to hear that a lot. No, he is one of the most wonderful people in a great band, Old 97s, great band. They have a new record out called TV on the Radio.
Gray knows that I love Murray, and so he's always on my mind. But he's got this new album that when he auditioned for John Hammond, 2 tracks that didn't make it to his thing, and he kept him in his pocket for 48 years. And they're on this new album, and they're like hits now because everyone's like, oh my God, that's old Bruce right there. It's just newly orchestrated. So that's my answer.
Okay, I love it. And then I'll mine. Ross Perot was a huge. I helped Ross Perot run for president back in 1992, and he actually called my house to say thank you. I was 16. I put every last 10 years.
It's me,
And there was 8 people running for president.
You remember the Big Club. I like it.
19% of the popular vote. It's never, his efforts have never been duplicated. Nobody threatened the establishment more than Ross Perot did. And it was incredible. It was cool of it. Like, he had no reason to call this 16-year-old kid to say thank you. And my parents flipped out when he called the house phone. My mom's like, I swear I know this voice. And I was like, oh, Mr. Perot, what's going on? And my mom was like running around the kitchen screaming. And so that was kind of the day I decided to run for president. And we've, every month or so I call my team and we talk about when is the right time and when is the right place and when is the I thought Pete Buttigieg was going to save me from my fate, because Pete Buttigieg is just such a culmination of so many different Americans. He's gay, he's a Catholic, he's a Democrat. He's so many things that America looks like, that I thought this is one guy that actually represents so many different people. And then we all woke up again and it was 2 old white dudes running against each other, and so we're like back to the same story.
He's gonna get a big position though in the cabinet. I know he will.
And I hope he's such an intelligent.
He deserves whatever he gets. He's a true American hero. The man fought for his country, and don't forget that he's a vet, unlike a certain person that's in the White House.
And I love him on Fox News. He has been kicking so much ass on Fox News. He's so smart.
Yes. So, yep. That's and then Trevor Noah is a person to me that
met him.
Pete Buttigieg is a vet, because I need a vet, because these puppies are sick.
Oh God!
I love Richard.
God.
I love Richard so much. All right, we could obviously talk for the rest of our lives, guys. Everyone's gonna take a break. VIP is gonna be live in 27 minutes. So again, any Hangout purchase, any autograph purchase, any personalized voice recording or video gets you into the VIP.
We got plenty.
Jax! So definitely come hang out with us. Yes! Come hang out with us and ask questions. I'm going to shut up. I love it. So, guys, thank you so much for spending some time.
Man.
Yeah.
Thanks for booking my cherry. This is fun.
Oh, I love it. Okay, everybody, thank you so much.
What kind of convention is this?
It's an unconvention.